The Department of Defense has decided to release more information on unidentified aerial phenomena. This from Fox News. The Pentagon announced the launch of a new website with the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, ARROW, which will provide the public with declassified information about UFOs, or what the government calls unidentified anomalous phenomena. Pentagon spokesman Brigadier General Patrick Ryder said at a press briefing the new website will provide the public with information including videos and photos associated with resolved UAP cases as they are declassified and approved for public release. Other information the general said would be available includes reports, trends, and a frequently asked questions section, as well as links to official reports, transcripts, press releases, and other resources the public may find useful. Donald Trump's Georgia trial will be televised and streamed live. This from The Hill. Court proceedings in the election interference case against former President Donald Trump and 18 co-defendants in Fulton County, Georgia, will be televised and live streamed, according to the judge yesterday. Judge Scott McAfee, the judge overseeing the case, said all hearings and trials will be broadcast on the Fulton County Court YouTube channel, according to multiple outlets. He also said pool coverage for broadcast news media will be allowed. Trump and his co-defendants are charged in a sprawling racketeering case related to efforts to overturn the results of the 2020 election in Georgia. The case could be the only one case that Trump is able to witness because federal court rules do not allow television cameras in the courtroom. This may change. We'll have to see. Also, according to The Hill, Trump cannot be left off the Arizona ballot. Arizona Secretary of State Adrian Fontes, a Democrat, said he does not have the ability to bar former President Donald Trump from running for president in his state on Wednesday. There have been calls to bar the former president from being able to run in 2024 related to language of the 14th Amendment, where it states those who have, quote, engaged in insurrection or rebellion, unquote, against the government cannot hold office. Fontes said despite those claims, he cannot do so by way of a previous Arizona Supreme Court case. Quote, now the Arizona Supreme Court has said there is no statutory process in federal law to enforce Section 3 of the 14th Amendment. You can't enforce it, Fontes said on the Gaggle podcast by the Arizona Republic and azcentral.com. USA Today is reporting that Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell has been cleared for work by the congressional doctor. Senator Mitch McConnell's doctor cleared him to continue with his schedule, saying he's experienced occasional lightheadedness from both dehydration and a previous concussion. Occasional lightheadedness is not uncommon in concussion recovery. It can also be expected as a result of dehydration, wrote Dr. Brian P. Monahan in a note McConnell's office released. McConnell froze Wednesday of this week at a news conference in northern Kentucky. It was the second time in a matter of weeks that he has paused taking questions at news conferences and had to receive assistance from his aides. Fox News reports that Karine Jean-Pierre is getting roasted for attempted gaslighting on the border. White House spokesman, Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre claimed that President Biden has done more to secure the border than anyone else. Jean-Pierre was asked about Biden's immigration policies after it was reported he did not meet with Democrat New York Governor Kathy Hochul regarding the migrant crisis in her state. The president has done more to secure the border and deal with the issue of immigration than anybody else. He really has. June saw the largest month-to-month drop in unlawful border crossings because of the policies this president has put in place. In state news this morning, Massachusetts, the governor has activated the National Guard to assist in emergency migrant shelters. Massachusetts Governor Maura Healey has activated 250 members of the National Guard to provide basic services at emergency shelter hotels amid an influx of migrants that has service providers stretched thin. Healey's administration will also launch a regional rapid response team to assist with overseeing shelter sites. The teams will be comprised of state employees. The move comes after she declared a state of emergency this month over increasing numbers of migrants arriving in Massachusetts from Texas. Massachusetts is in a state of emergency. We need an all-hands-on-deck to meet this moment and ensure families have access to safe shelter and basic services. We're grateful to the brave men and women of the National Guard for stepping up to help us ensure that every family in emergency shelters has their needs met, including access to food, transportation, medical care, and education. Currently, more than 6,000 migrant families are in emergency centers across the state of Massachusetts. In Texas, from USA Today, a shooting in a large shopping center in northwest Austin. It happened yesterday, left one person dead, 3 others injured, according to authorities. The latest gun-related attack in the U.S. Quote, I'd like to offer condolences to the families of the victims, in addition to the multiple witnesses that witnessed the tragedy here today. This, according to Austin Interim Police Chief Robin Henderson at a news conference late yesterday, adding that she suspected the shooter was also killed in the attack. According to the Austin Police Department, the shooting occurred at a business near the Arboretum, an outdoor shopping center. Police and medics were called to the area shortly after 5 p.m. local time. Texas news from Fox. Texas Supreme Court yesterday permitted the state's ban on transgender medical procedures for minors to take effect. The ruling came down after a judge last Friday issued an injunction against the law in response to a lawsuit brought by families of transgender youth and doctors. The law is set to take effect today. Today's cruel ruling places transgender youth in Texas and the families and medical professionals who love and care for them directly in harm's way, unquote. That's from lawyers for the families in a joint statement reported by Reuters. News from California, Gavin Newsom is blaming progressives for the homeless crisis in San Francisco. California's Democrat lawmakers have been blamed for decades for failing to fix the state's out-of-control homeless problem and are now pushing back, pointing the finger at left-leaning judges and liberal advocates who have held up street-sweeping efforts by arguing such policies violate a person's civil rights. Governor Gavin Newsom, the Democrat, on Tuesday, called a court order preventing San Francisco officials from clearing most of the tent encampments in the city preposterous, and said that people have acted in disbelief when he told them his hands were tied by the courts. The San Francisco order, it's preposterous, it's inhumane, said Governor Newsom. It's incredibly frustrating. The Democrat governor said he knew he would ultimately bear the brunt of the blame, but added, quote, damn it, they need to be accountable as well. These judges are wrong on these overriding, sweeping orders. Also out of California, from Fox, Gracias Madre, a very popular vegan eatery in San Francisco's Mission District, closed its doors this week after more than a decade because of the city's deteriorating conditions. Quote, our mission has always been to honor the mothers who give us so much to serve, care for, and live in hope for families, especially those in Mexico. It has been an honor to work on behalf of their generosity and sacrifice all these years, a note posted outside the restaurant and on the web read in part, quote, the condition of life in San Francisco has deteriorated and made running a small business nearly impossible. Political news today, the president used pseudonyms to communicate with his son. This published today from Fox News. Then Vice President Biden apparently used a pseudonym to discuss a future White House hire with his son Hunter, according to 2014 emails from Hunter's famous laptop. In an email on June 23, 2014, Hunter emailed Robin Ware from his company email at Rosemont Seneca Partners. Before you fill the position, please talk to me. Jay McGrail very much wants to serve as detail for Treasury, said Hunter. Response minutes later from the email account, RobinWare456 at Gmail reads, Johnny, call me right away, Dad. Robin Ware is one of several pseudonyms Biden used during his vice presidency to discuss government matters with his son. This according to House Republicans investigating the Biden family. Speaking of that, House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer said that he's worried that impeachment could backfire. This from Newsmax. There's more than enough support in the House and evidence to move forward with impeachment proceedings against President Joe Biden, but caution must be taken to make sure the process doesn't backfire for Republicans in the 2024 elections. This according to House Oversight Committee Chair James Comer in an interview on Newsmax. Quote, I would predict that we'll have an impeachment inquiry in September, the Kentucky Republican said on Newsmax, Wake Up America. I think our colleagues in the House realize this is a serious offense. What the Bidens have been doing, they are selling access to our federal government. Comer said many moderate Republicans are worried that the proceedings will backfire. Quote, when Republicans impeached Bill Clinton, they lost the majority, said Comer. When Democrats impeached Donald Trump, they lost the majority. So that's a legitimate concern. We're trying to be careful, unquote. And finally, this morning on the front page, in sports, a high school football coach was fired for leading prayers on the 50-yard line. Said he's going to give thanks at his team's home opener today following his reinstatement. Joseph Kennedy is set to receive a $1.7 million settlement after the Supreme Court ruled his prayer protected under the First Amendment. He's ready to coach at Bremerton High School for the first game of the season. Kennedy plans to take a knee and give thanks to God following the game for being back on the field and having the constitutional rights to practice his faith. That's the front page for Friday, September 1st, 2023.